let's get started with our first news of the day. Joe Rogan is making waves yet again with his latest comments about Jon Jones. This time, he's not holding back at all. He's openly disagreeing with Jon Jones's take on Tom Aspinall's star power, and he's being very direct about it. On a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Joe made it very clear that he thinks Jon is simply wrong for downplaying Aspinall's popularity and drawing power. According to Joe, it's not just about so-called money fights or headliners with flashy trash talk. He genuinely believes that Aspinall is already a star in his own right, and dismissing him is a huge mistake. He even shared how often people stop him in the street, casual fans, people who aren't even hardcore MMA nerds, just to ask, is Jon Jones going to fight Tom Aspinall? He says it's the one question he gets constantly over and over, which to him is clear proof of Aspinall's popularity. Joe Rogan went on to criticize anyone who claims, "Who is he? He's no one," saying it's flat out silly and shows a real disconnect from what fans are actually talking about. He argued that Tom Aspinall has that magnetic presence, that charisma that draws people in even if they've never watched an MMA fight before. It's that kind of buzz, that constant word-of-mouth chatter among regular casual viewers that turns a fighter into a mainstream name. He also suggested that Jon Jones might be out of touch with how fans actually see Aspinall right now. Joe Rogan, who's never been shy about voicing his opinions, even controversial ones, essentially called Jon out for underestimating Aspinall's appeal. He made it clear that, in his view, ignoring that level of fan interest is a big mistake for any fighter who wants to secure meaningful, high-profile matchups. Joe's comments have sparked a lot of discussion among fans and analysts alike, with many agreeing that Aspinall has everything it takes to become a major name in the sport. Whether it's his skill set, his personality, or his raw power inside the octagon, the hype around him is real, and Joe Rogan seems determined to remind everyone, including Jon Jones himself, just how big of a deal Tom Aspinall is right now. Now, let's move on because there's even more coming straight from Tom Aspinall himself. He was asked about a potential matchup with Alex Pereira, and as always, Tom didn't mince words or sugarcoat anything. He made it clear that he doesn't seem too interested in fighting Alex at the moment, and the reason is pretty straightforward. Alex just lost his belt to Magomed Ankalaev. Tom thinks Alex has real work to do in the light heavyweight division before he can even think about moving up to heavyweight and challenging new opponents. Tom explained his thoughts in a pretty funny, very human and relatable way. He shared that he actually likes to stand and stare at fighters during events, not to intimidate them or play mind games, but because he genuinely enjoys studying people's psychology before fights. He said that if you ever see him standing there staring at the flyweights or any other division, it's not because he's trying to spook them. It's simply that he finds it fascinating to see how they think, how they act, and how they hold themselves before stepping into battle. It's part of how he learns and prepares as a fighter himself. But when it comes specifically to Alex Pereira, Tom pointed out that Alex has some serious business to take care of in his own division first. He didn't downplay how tough Alex's last fight was. He reminded everyone that Alex lost his title in what was a grueling matchup, a real war inside the cage. According to Aspinall, Ankalaev is still a really difficult matchup for Alex, someone who poses very real, very serious challenges that need to be addressed before Alex even dreams of moving up a weight class. Tom also showed a ton of respect for Ankalaev during this talk. He said that in his opinion, Ankalaev doesn't get nearly enough credit. Tom praised him for running through everyone in his path and even defeating a long-standing champion. That level of achievement deserves serious respect in Tom's eyes. But he wasn't totally dismissive of Alex's chances either. Tom admitted Alex is incredibly powerful and absolutely capable of winning if he gets another crack at Ankalaev. But if Tom were in Alex's shoes, he said he'd want to get that one back first before making any moves to heavyweight. It was a very thoughtful, honest, and reflective take that showed Tom Aspinall isn't just a brawler. He's someone who thinks very carefully about what actually makes sense for a fighter's career path. Moving on, let's talk about another fighter who always has something to say, Paddy Pimblett. He was asked what would happen if he runs into Ilia Topuria before UFC 317. Speaking to the media, Paddy laid it all out. He said he'll be in Las Vegas on June 28th, cage side, and if Ilia so much as mentions his name, he's going to get pulled into the cage, and he'll be laughing his head off while it happens. He said it would be quite funny because he's not the one who causes trouble, he just shows up. He recalled that time in London when the infamous hand sanitizer bottle bounced off Ilia's head. According to Paddy, he was completely on his own at the time. Ilia, on the other hand, tried to jump him with 9 other people. Paddy made it very clear that he doesn't start these things. He said he'll just be there with his manager and cameraman, minding his own business. But if he sees Ilya and it goes off, he said you never know. He might even knock him out, and Ilya might not be able to fight Charles Oliveira. He insisted he isn't one of those guys who shows up looking to create mayhem, but he also warned that if Ilya tries to start something, he'll finish it, just like he did last time. He said he'll be there from Wednesday, so we'll see what happens. As all this drama unfolds, let's not forget the UFC 317 card is just around the corner, and that card is stacked. It's got title fights, high-stakes matchups that could shake up entire divisions. If you're the kind of person who loves getting in on the action, there's no better time than now. Once you've got those bonus bets, you can use them on same game parlays to combine multiple bets for a shot at an even bigger payout. And if you're into live betting, DraftKings has that too. You can place bets in real time as the fights unfold. Not in a state where sports betting is legal? No problem. You can still get in on the action with DraftKings Pick 6 and play for cash prizes. Now let's move on to another bit of news, because Sean Strickland is back in the headlines, this time taking aim at Jon Jones. While he stayed quiet about a potential rematch with Israel Adesanya, Sean didn't hold back in calling out Jon over his latest controversy. He posted a series of social media messages questioning why no one ever says, "Jon Jones, why don't you go to rehab?" and even laughed it off with a simple "Mao," underlining how ridiculous he thinks it is that Jones avoids serious accountability. Things got even more interesting when Sean responded to Derek Brunson. Derek had shared a story about hanging out with Jon almost daily between 2011 and 2014. He recalled one night trying to talk sense into Jon, saying, "Bro, why are you doing all of this? Let's just chill with the ladies. The extra stuff isn't needed." According to Derek, Jon looked at him and said, "I don't need a dad, I need a friend." That, Derek said, was the last time they really hung out. He admitted he couldn't keep watching Jon spiral without saying something honest. In response, Sean Strickland argued that with addicts, you often have no choice but to walk away. He brought up Stephan Bonnar as an example, saying everyone knew Bonnar was going to end up dead or in prison, and there's simply nothing you can do if someone doesn't want help. He said you just have to close the door. When asked about Nick Diaz, Sean took a different tone. He said Nick is actually trying to get help. Even if the Diaz brothers are so mentally messed up, it's hard to explain. He described them as living with unbelievable levels of depression and misery, admitting he feels bad for them. But the key difference, he argued, is that Nick is at least trying. Sean finished by saying Jon Jones actively chooses to be a piece of garbage, while the Diaz brothers are genuinely broken in a way that's hard to comprehend. As for a possible Strickland versus Adesanya rematch, that remains to be seen. But what is certain is that this Saturday promises an absolute banger of a UFC card that has fans buzzing. In the main event, Ilia Topuria faces Charles Oliveira for the vacant lightweight belt. Ilia's powerful striking will be tested against Charles's elite grappling. This matchup has the makings of a fight of the year contender. Currently, Ilia is the betting favorite at -417, while Charles sits at +333 on MyBookie. UFC 317 is shaping up to be a night to remember. With high-stakes matchups and career-defining moments on the line, fans have every reason to be excited. Whether you're in it for the drama, the skill, the trash talk, or the violence, there's something for everyone. So get ready for a weekend of raw, honest, and unpredictable MMA action. The kind of stuff that keeps us all coming back for more.